I do. I like to sort of get as much detail, and that's why I don't ask to. I don't on purpose ask people to trip them up. All I do ask is just to get the detail. So, and I don't want to trip anyone up because you know, they had the encounter, they had the sighting, they had the sighting. Um, with yourself, okay, you're very honest. You're a lovely guy. I'll tell you why, because you have honestly said, at the time, you were having mental health problems, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because of your honesty, that's one reason why I think, this gives it a bit more, if you like, a bit more validity because you're so honest about the time, and you said yourself you weren't sure if it was mental health or not, which is great. You got a lot of humility, my friend, to say that. I do appreciate that.
Three, two, one.
Hi, welcome to Dogman Teepee Hunting, and if you're listening to this, it'll be on the Interdimensional Voyagers podcast. I just want to say first and foremost, thank you very much for joining us, and hope you enjoyed the show. On the show today, we've got Thomas. Now, he's an experiencer who had an experience in Oxfordshire, and it was quite a traumatic experience for the chap. Uh, um, and it may be quite a difficult interview, but from the point of view of what he's seen, I've spoken to him, and I must admit it is quite frightening. So, without further ado, I shall bring him on, and we'll see what exactly he saw in the way of Dogmen. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Um, Tom, you had go straight to the point. You had an experience in Oxfordshire when you were younger. Can you
2016.
when you were 16? Okay.
No, it was in 2016.
Oh, 2016.
Yeah,
Okay, right. That's not that long ago then, really.
not too long ago, no.
No. Um, could is it possible to start off at the beginning? What happened? And take it really slowly, and don't forget any detail. Detail's the key.
To
I don't care
to
how long it takes.
to be honest, where I would like to start, I was suffering mental health experiences in the town I come from, and I believed I had to leave my town because I was experiencing voices and things telling me. I don't know if it was a guide or just my mental health, but I do suffer with mental health, or at least the doctors have told me I do.
Hmm.
And basically, I think I see clear enough to understand what did happen. But I moved to Oxford with my mother because she worked, and it led me down a bad path and a bad road. I was working a smaller job at the time when I got to Oxford, and we were staying at I would say the guy where we stayed. He kept rooms like where you could rent, and you
Uh-huh.
just stayed in the room because that's how it were in Oxford. You more rented a room than rented a place to live because it's very student orientated.
Hmm.
And I started experiencing voices in my mind and things happening and stuff. And my landlord ended up throwing me out onto the street. So when my mother took me into town and said, "Look, I can't help you at the minute, but when I get some place of my own, I will try to help you at some point in the future. But for now, I can't help you, lad. He's put you on the street." So I was on the street, and I was in Oxford Town Centre, and I started experiencing a lot of voices in my mind telling me that people in the town centre were going to hurt me and they were going to attack me. And a lot of the people there that I met were homeless street people.
Hmm.
So they were quite, they were always trying to rob you or attack you or take something from you or do you harm in some sort of sense. So I left the town centre and I begin to walk up to Headington and out of Oxford Town Centre up into Wheatley. And there was a double bypass, and I went up the bypass, and it was completely pitch black all the way up the bypass. And I walked completely up the bypass, and I felt pressure in my brain where I thought, I need to hide, I need to get away, I need to escape this. So I walked into a field, the field on the end, just before you reach Wheatley. And when I got into the field, I was just walking along, and it was very long grass, so you could hear the shh, shh, shh when I'm walking.
Yeah.
This man on all fours just appeared up out of the grass, like it was hidden in it, like a prancing lion or tiger. And he just got up and ran towards me, and I didn't believe it. I thought it was an animal or something else or something, because my mum had told me there was muttjacks on the Oxford Road and stuff. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, is that just an animal? And then I turned around and I saw what it was. It was like a creature like Gollum out of Lord of the Rings, like a man on all fours running like towards me like that. And when he got to the bottom of my legs, he sort of went scurry, 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 watching what I was doing. And I skitzed out and thought, what is that? You know, what is this creature that looks like a dog? Well, not a dog, like a wolf mixed with a man. So I ran out of the bush, and it followed me through, and I got up and ran as fast as I could, and it just started to run after me, but it was a lot faster than I was, because it must have been running on all fours. It got to me in about 30 seconds, even though I'd ran halfway up the road. And I got to the end of the road, and the light was there, the street lamp.
Yeah.
And basically, I saw what it was that was chasing me, and it was like a man with an elongated nose, like a horse nose, but not a horse nose, like just the length, but with a man's like nostrils, but with a dog's teeth. So it was like, from what I've heard explanations of, it was more like a Dogman rather than a werewolf, but it could have easily been both. From what other people have said.
So Tom, when you were going into the field,
Yeah.
okay, so did you have any like kind of sense that there was anyone there? Did you have a feeling that there was anything there in the field, or did it just
No,
appear?
I had no idea that anything was there at all. I thought maybe it isn't a great idea to go into a field at night, because I mean, all the woods, it's just not a great thing to do, really. But I
Okay,
was so
was there
frightened, I was drawn to it.
right? Interesting. Is there the field? Can I ask? So you came underneath a walkway. You were in a pretty low place anyway. Yeah, mentally you're in a low place. You know, you've
Yeah,
had better days. Okay, I guess you've had better
definitely.
days.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and you were pondering life, and you were pondering, you know, kind of like the crap you were going through. You went into the field. Now, did the field have like woods on the other side of it, or forest on the other side of it, or did it back onto houses or another road? Do you know?
it backed
I'm
onto
trying to.
another field. Sorry, go on.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to ascertain, really, you know, from your
There
description.
was woods very close to it on the left, but they weren't fully in the field. It was more of a big open field with a big bush around it that went all the way around
Okay.
the edge. But I'd been in that field walking the guy who I lived with at the time's dog. I'd walked in that field during the day because it was the closest field off the end of the bypass. I mean, the
Okay.
bypass I'm talking about is Wheatley turning. It's just where you get up off the top of Thornhill Park and Ride. You turn left into Wheatley, and that field just before is where I was.
Right. Okay. So it's not very far away, really. It's not far away from town at all.
Not too much. I mean, once you get into Wheatley and all that area, it is very much village and green and very, countryside.
Yeah.
Once you get to those points, it's only Oxford town centre and main areas that are built up, with congestion.
Yeah. Okay. When you first saw it, was it on all fours or was it standing upright? It was on all fours,
All
was it?
fours. All fours. I
Okay.
didn't see it stood upright. It just chased me on all fours. But when I saw it in the light and ran round the corner into the light, it backed off into the darkness. It wouldn't come into the light with me. I thought it was going to just come and kill me, but it didn't. It backed away.
No.
And I thought, so this thing is smart, okay? It
Mm,
must be, because it's using
mm.
its brain. And when I get
That's
round the corner, there's another one in the bush looking at me, but this one was a fully formed wolf, hunched over, just looking at me with its mouth down and its teeth out and open, and it had very big green eyes, piercing green eyes.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Right. Now, I've just got to ask you, all I'm doing is just recapping over your story, over your account so that we get it straight.
yeah.
When you saw that Dogman being in the field, when it ran towards you on all fours, did it run awkwardly? Did it run a bit like you hear people talk about, like even
No,
Bigfoot?
this thing moved naturally. This thing moved like it knew how to move this way. This is what shocked me. It was seeing a
Okay.
man like a human person with human eyes, but
Mm,
a dog's mouth using all fours. It was very strange to see it sort of flowing and moving like it was meant to move that way.
yeah.
That's what scared me. I thought, what's going on?
Yeah, I've seen videos on YouTube. Have you seen these ones where you see like a guy, sometimes a woman, and they go on all fours and they kind of like they run really quickly on all fours. Have you seen those ones where they drop and go on all
I've
fours and they
seen
sort of like,
cryptid videos, and I have seen a video where a man was caught on a trail cam, and he was
mm,
naked, running on all fours, and he
yeah,
looked like he
yeah,
actually knew how to do it. Yeah,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Um, so as far as you're concerned, but what you saw, he was running towards you or coming towards you, and he was moving quite he was moving with a movement that was quite
he was
linear.
testing me.
It's
He was
quite
testing what I was going to do.
okay. Was he hairy or was it his
Only
body?
on the top of his head and down his back a little bit.
Okay, so when you say down his back, you mean what? He had a mane of hair?
Sort of, yeah, like a mane that didn't go around its neck, or it just went off the top of his head, down his back, and just a bit of patch of fur on his back. But the rest of him was skin, like white skin.
White skin. Okay. Was he
Mm.
quite a big guy, or was he
This
quite
thing
muscular?
looked about same build as me, but maybe a bit skinnier. Because it looked to me like Gollum somehow. That's what I thought it were at first.
Maybe because it was so pale.
Just the way it moved.
Mm, but maybe because it was so pale, you describe it as being very pale. Maybe it was that kind of because Gollum's really pale, wasn't he?
Well,
He's like
yeah, it was like just just normal white skin, normal
yeah.
white skin. Yeah. So, but
His eyes.
they were very muscly in texture though. They had a lot more. They were bigger built than we were.
Okay. And the one in the field, his eyes. Did you see the color of his eyes?
It was so dark, I only knew it was looking at me. I couldn't physically tell out its features or its face. When it
All
was
right.
that
Thank you.
close, I was in fight or flight mode. And because
Yeah.
of I was in so much fear, I decided
Yeah.
to run. But when I was running away, it chased at the back of me. and I turned, and I don't know whether I hit it or not, but I kicked it with my left leg, and then I punched it with my right arm, and it
Right.
backed away a bit, and then came right at the back of me, like sniffing at the back of me while it pushed me into the light. But then
Did
when
it
I
make
got
any
to the light,
sound?
it backed away.
Did it make any sound when you kicked it? Did it squeal, scream?
No, nothing. This is the thing. It didn't growl. It didn't scream. It didn't make no noise. It was just chasing me, and you could hear it breathing, I think, like that, but you couldn't hear
Yeah.
no growling or no. They weren't vocal to me. I mean, there's a lot more to this. This is only the beginning of what happened.
That's great. That's great. So, okay. So, if you don't mind, can we continue on to the next one you were talking about with the yellow eyes? What happened there?
The one with the green eyes
Oh,
just
green eyes. Sorry.
looked at me and just opened its mouth and went, and then I just screamed and ran, and it stayed. I watched it as I was running in my vision to see if it was going to chase me, and it didn't. It stayed where it were, and I ran over the top of the bridge straight into Wheatley and ran straight down the main avenue into town. And when I got there, the bus was coming up the road, and it was like the scene out of Ghostbusters 2. I hit the window and just wiped down it, just screaming for him to let me in. And the bus driver was like, go like that, going like that, you know, go, move, move.
Yeah.
And all the people on the bus, this is what I'm saying about Oxfordshire and the South, all the people on the bus either know what they are and choose not to see what they were, or they were just not interested, or they saw it and didn't want to know. But there was one on the wall, hanging over the wall, that was going into the park on the right hand side of the hill, and he was just hanging over the wall like I can't try and get into the camera like that, and its claws were all hanging off its fingers, and its face was long, but it had white skin all over it, no fur, but it looked like one out of Underworld, but not with dark black skin like they are in that,
Mm.
with our skin, but the same build with the face and the
Yeah.
same muscle structure.
Okay. Was that one hairy, or was it also bald? Was it also just skin?
It was just skin, just skin.
So they were.
Now you
So they
see,
were
I don't know
both.
if I was seeing them in different phases. I don't know.
Okay. So what you're saying to me is, when you flagged down the bus and was like, "Wait, stop," and the driver was like,
Yeah,
"Go round, go round, go round."
yeah.
Are you saying that there was people on the bus that must have seen that one on the wall? That
That
where
I
that
was looking where
Dogman?
they was looking, and the reason why I wouldn't go round the right of the bus and get onto it was because I would have had my back to it.
Right.
It was on the right hand side of the bus, leaning over the wall like that, asleep with its eyes closed, just laying there like basically, I'm faster than you, mate. What's the point in running? It was just
Right.
taking the mick. It just laid there like whip, like you know.
Yeah.
It don't mean nothing to me, mate. It's just
Yeah.
you running about is just a laugh to me. But it didn't
Right.
move. And then when I got
Okay.
past the bus, there was two of them that were crouched over at the bottom against the wall of the other bus stop, and they were just
Okay.
crouched in the walls, looking at me, just watching me, watching where I was going and what I was saying, because I shouted out to a load of teenage lads that were running off in the distance, pulling the shirts off. And I thought, what are they doing that for? And then I shouted, can you help me? And the bus come flying down that was going the other way. And when I saw that bus driver, I ran up to him on the bus and I said, I'm being chased. Can you please let me on? And he said,
Mm.
yeah, no problem. I think they have to let you on if you're in distress. He let me
Yeah.
on free. But when I got on the bus, I looked at my hand and there was a claw mark on it from where it had got me up on the road when we were tussling.
Yeah.
And there was 4 claw marks down my back above my kidney on my right hand side, because when my mum saw me in the mental hospital, when she got to me, she said, Tom, you've got claw marks down your back. What happened to you? Now they've not stayed, they've healed, and there's no scars. But
Right.
my mum did see that to confirm it. So I knew I wasn't thinking crap, and it must have happened. But I looked up to the back of the bus, And at the back of the bus, it looked to me like one of them was leaning in between the chair and looking at me with one eye closed. They never open their eyes when you're looking at them and you're next to them in the light, because these creatures have very black, callous eyes. Like when you're looking at them, it's like piss holes in the snow. They're really black. So I can't imagine what they look like when they open their eyes. Maybe it scares you or something. I don't know. But it seemed to close its eye and just watch me. And it stayed on the bus with me until we got to Aylesbury.
Okay. It stayed.
I don't know if it was one. It just looked like one. This is the point to me. I saw them physically, and then I started seeing them psychologically sometimes.
Right. Okay. So just to recap really quickly, you're in a field, you saw a very pale golem-like creature coming towards you. It started chasing you. You ran away. It then went to grab you, and it scratched you on your arm and your back above your
Yeah,
kidney. Okay.
yeah,
Then you went on and you saw another dogman creature by a wall.
yeah.
Yep. Okay. Right. That just scared the bejesus out of you, and as it would anyone. You went to hell down the bus. The bus driver told you, look, get out of the way. I'm going to run you over. That type of thing.
Yeah,
Because if you're
yeah.
in the road, hey, look, what you doing?
But they
Now
paid
at
no
that
attention.
right at that point though, go back to what were those two? What were the two people that were taking their t-shirts off and running away? Who were
They
they?
looked like teenagers to me that were just running down the road, but they were running, and I could hear like roaring in the distance, like a grumble or a moan that was like a roar, but it wasn't loud. It was far away, and it
Do you
sounded
think
like
they?
they were doing it, but they were running and they were taking the clothes off and running down the street.
Do you think that they were running away? I mean, why take their clothes off? Why would they take their clothes off? I mean, why would they take their t-shirts off as they were running? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. They ran that fast that I only saw the back end of them, and I assumed that they were people that would help me. But they
That's
were
unusual, though,
running.
isn't it?
Yeah,
That's unusual. That's
and
unusual. Do you
yeah,
think
the
they
way
were
the bus
they
people
were the
tread.
dogmen? Do you think they were dogmen, Tom? Do you think they were dogmen? Do you think they
I
were?
think personally that in that area, maybe the village could be full of them, or maybe they were just in that area, and they are all over England and all over all different parts of the world. But I only experienced seeing them physically and being attacked by them physically in Wheatley and in Aylesbury when I got there.
Right. Okay. Right. Thank you. All right then. Wow. God, that must have. Honestly.
I didn't know
I
what
bet.
to make of it. I still don't to this day. I say it and I think sometimes, are we lower in the food chain? Are we being farmed by these things? Do we not know it? Because these things, are they to do with the government? Does the government control them? Do they know about them? Do they want to help us? Because, I mean, they didn't kill me when they clearly could have.
Yeah. Do you know what I find fascinating? I found fascinating when you said it was an interesting fact that you stood closer to the light and the light hitting the pavement, it wouldn't venture into that light. It stayed away from the
It
light.
got into it just enough for me to see it, and then it
Mm,
just sort of growled, like not growled, but like I had a weird smiley face and just backed off into the darkness. And I thought,
mm.
right, okay, well, if that thing stopped chasing me at the light, does that mean I am safe in light?
Okay, yeah, that's right, exactly. That is interesting. Um, so when you were on the bus, you got on the bus, and these one of these creatures didn't get on the bus, did it? It wasn't on the bus with you.
I believed one of them was at the back of the bus I got on, yeah. Because not everyone else on the bus, there was no one sat on the bottom floor except for me sitting in the middle with my back towards the driver on the bus seat that goes that way so you can look going backwards in the window.
Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah.
I was looking out the window and I looked towards the back of the bus and it just looked like in between the two seats, it were peering with its eye like that, but closed, and it looked like over the top it had an elongated head, like the one on the wall.
Okay.
So I thought, right, so if he's got on here, the bus driver must have seen him. And I started
Yeah.
believing, what, is everybody in on this? Do people know what these things are and know to keep their mouths shut?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, Tom? I mean, there's cameras on buses.
Well, yeah, and I can't specifically remember the date and the times because I was
Yeah.
mentally ill, and
Yeah.
I'd done time in the hospital after I got found in Tring in the end of all this.
Did it affect you mentally, this
Oh,
episode?
very psychologically and mentally, I've been changed my entire life because I went through phases where I started believing in my mind that I was going to turn into one of these things. And I thought, why am I getting more intuition? Why do I think stronger? Why's my body got stronger? Why am I more aware? Why do I hear thoughts in my brain telling me that they can telecommunicate with me? Am I mentally ill or am I turning into one of these creatures? I couldn't work it out. But in the end, when I've had the time to come home to my mum and live in this area, and to be fair, the psychoactive side of cannabis can make you believe things are happening that are not.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. I get that.
So it's but I knew the experience that had happened to me at first. I knew it was real because my mum saw the marks on me, and when I explained it to her, she told me that she drove into Wheatley to go and park up at the house we were living at, and she come down the road and there was a man laid against the wall. Against not the wall, there was a man laid against a tree in the woods, just laid against it, and she didn't know what he was doing. So she said, I have seen strange things. And she felt when she moved to that village that basically you were always being watched when you were getting out of your car because she finished early hours of the morning. But when she got to the house she was living at in the village, she always felt she was being watched.
What does your mum think about does your mum, I don't want to come across as rude. Tell me to shut up if you, all right? Just tell me to shut up. But bearing in mind your mental health history, what does your mum, it doesn't matter about anyone else, does your mum believe you after seeing the scratches and
My mum believes me more now these days. She didn't at first but she experienced things in London. She saw a black lady walking down the road whose eyes went completely white and hollow. And my mum looked at her and said, what's wrong with her? And all the bus drivers that were with her looked at the woman and said, what the hell? And they all agreed that her eye pupils disappeared. They were there and then they disappeared. And she said she felt, saw, and experienced a lot of dark experiences working in London on the tube, and that people were very different, and that we both agreed that Oxford is old Gothic, very druidic in nature in the way it was made. And if there's anything like that, that is where it would be.